Instead of chicken pot pie, we're doing egg pot pie. Hey, Chef Des coming at you from my kitchen again, corporate chef of BC Egg. Everyone loves chicken pot pie. I'm gonna show you how to make egg pot pie. Yeah, this is gonna be amazing. I call it sausage and egg pot pie because it's like having a sausage gravy with egg covered in pastry, baked in a little ramekin. And it's incredible. Wait till you see how to do this. The very first thing we're gonna do is preheat our oven to 425 degrees. I have mine going already. And what I want you to get are 4 1-cup ramekins and just put them on a small baking tray. This is going to help catch any overflow in case that happens when you have these in the oven. So that's ready to go. You don't need to butter the ramekins or anything. Just the way they are totally fine. Just make sure that they are oven proof. We need to take 4 large BC eggs. Always remember that every single large BC egg has 14 key nutrients, all 9 essential amino acids, over 6 grams of the highest quality protein you can get. And 1 large egg, it's only 80 calories. So we're gonna separate the eggs. So I have a bowl here and I wanna keep the yolks whole. This is gonna make a really fun presentation at the end. Wait till you see it. But we're gonna take each egg and reserve the whites in a mixing bowl. Put the shells there. And just gently, be very, very careful with the yolks. We want to make sure that we don't break them at all. They're going to play a very important role in this recipe. And then I just take a little portion cup and I just gently slide it in there and then keep that aside. And I'll do that 3 more times. And here's the last one. I always like to separate my eggs using my fingers. You can buy little gadgets to do that with, but I just find this is just the easiest way. And just let the yolks sit in your hand as the whites go through your fingers. And just put that last yolk gently in a portion cup. And we're just gonna beat up those egg whites now. And I'll set these 4 yolks aside for later. The other thing you're going to need is 375 grams of breakfast sausage. So just your regular links. I have them taken out of the links, but I just want to show you how easy this is. So all I do is I take a regular sausage and I squeeze it in the center, okay? And then I twist it like I was making 2 links. And then from that part where I twist it, I just squeeze out the meat and discard the casing. And I've done that now for 375 grams worth. Let's go over to the stovetop now. Okay, bring these ingredients close by here. We're gonna take a medium nonstick pan on medium heat, and we're going to just put in 1 teaspoon of butter. And once that butter melts, we just take a little pastry brush and we're just gonna coat the pan with the butter. It just makes it a little bit easier to make some scrambled eggs. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're going to scramble our egg whites, and that's gonna be part of the base of these sausage and egg pot pies. Take our nice beaten egg whites now. And I'm just going to scramble these like I was making scrambled egg whites. You'll see the final presentation, what we do with those egg yolks that we reserved. And if you don't want to do that, you can always just scramble the egg yolks in with the whites and just have scrambled eggs and omit that last step of the recipe. I believe it's step number 8. This only takes a minute or 2, so just keep stirring it constantly. And you don't need to season these or anything. There's enough seasoning in the recipe to compensate for that. Okay, let's bring these ramekins over. And all I'm gonna do is just divide this equally into the 4 ramekins. In that same pan, we're now gonna use medium-high heat, so a little higher, and we're gonna add all that lovely sausage meat to that pan, along with 3/4 teaspoon of dried thyme, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, and 3/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. And this is going to be the base of our sausage gravy. You want to cook this on that medium-high heat for about 8 to 10 minutes until all the sausage meat is broken up and is browned and crispy a little bit. You're going to have to keep at it, stirring it, breaking up that sausage meat. We want to try and get this pretty fine. You can have the odd big chunk, but for the most part, we want to have this broken up as much as we can. You'll notice that we didn't add any oil to the pan because there's a lot of fat in the sausage meat, and that's what's going to come out as we cook it. That fat's going to be rendered, and then what I have standing by at that point is we have some flour. We're going to create a roux with the rendered fat from the sausage with the flour, and that's what's going to thicken our sauce that's going to be going into the pot pies. But for now, again, we just keep stirring this until it's all broken up and it's browned and crispy. All right, look at that. We are there. Awesome. See how nice and browned it is? Beautiful. Looks great. So now what we're going to do, turn this heat to low, and we're going to take 3 tablespoons of flour, and we're going to stir that in and cook that on that low heat for like 2 or 3 minutes. But this part's really important because you're trying to cook out this starchy taste of the flour. So you'll want to take a couple minutes to do that. And again, just stir it occasionally. All right, the next step is to grab some milk. So I have 2.5 cups of milk here, and you want to add it slowly. Remember that flour in there is going to become really thick once we start adding some liquid. So we want to make sure there's no lumps. So I just pour a little bit in, and I stir it. And we're still on that low heat right now. And you will see it become very thick. And then once you're at that point where it's become very thick, you add a little bit more and you stir that in. And by doing that, you're going to ensure that you're not going to have any lumps in your sauce. We're basically making a bechamel sauce and turning it into a sausage gravy by using the fat from the sausage, having the chunks of sausage in there, seasoning it up with the thyme, the salt, and the pepper. And again, just a little bit of time, wait till it's worked in. And you're letting that flour in there soak up the liquid of the milk. And then I can add a little bit more. And once you've added about half the milk and it's fully incorporated, then you can add it faster. And stir it in. And now we're going to bump up the heat to medium-high again. And we just want to bring this to a boil. And what's going to happen is, at a boiling point is when that starch thickener of that flour is going to come into full action and thicken up this sauce. Now, while you're waiting for this to happen, I want you to stir it frequently because you don't want that sauce to burn on the bottom as it starts thickening. Wherever the heat is, that's where it's going to thicken first. So keep stirring it. And it won't take long over that medium-high heat. And once it comes to a full boil, you'll see it become very thick. It's going to happen soon. You can start to see now the steam coming off there. That's your visual to tell you that it's going to start boiling very, very soon. And usually you'll start to see it boiling at the edge of the pan first. And then we just distribute that heat around, and it's going to happen very quick here now. All right, see that? There's our full boil. So we know that all the thickening power of that flour is now coming into play. We can bang off the heat. And we're going to go back to the countertop now. All right, here's what we're going to do. So this right here, what we have is basically a sausage gravy. Give me a biscuit and call me for breakfast. This is amazing. But what we're going to do instead of just having sausage gravy and biscuits, we're going to now divvy up this gravy onto our scrambled egg whites. And I want to do it equally, so equal amount of chunks and gravy. So I just do it a spoonful at a time. So I'm making sure that the first couple don't get all the chunks and then it's just sauce or gravy on the other ones. You want to have an equal amount. So just take your time to portion these out equally. And this is going to be the filling of our pot pies between the scrambled egg whites and the sausage gravy. All right, we're almost there. I'm going to put the last of it in that last one now. The next thing you need to do is get some puff pastry. So you can buy this frozen at your grocery store and thaw it in your refrigerator for about 24 hours. You don't want to thaw it at room temperature. Always have it chilled while you're thawing it. And you're going to use about half the package. They usually come in approximately 450 gram packages and usually 2 sheets. Regardless, I want you to use half the package. So in this case, mine did come in 2 sheets. I'm going to use 1. And I want you to roll it out to about a 9 by 10 inch square. And that's what this is here. And if it's not, if it's a whole package cut in half and then roll it out, little flour on the counter till you're about, 1/8 of an inch thick, and you're approximately 9 by 10, 10 by 10, 9 by 9, anywhere around there is good. We want to have enough coverage to come across and overlap the top of these ramekins like you would a pot pie. So I'm just going to eyeball this and just use my bench scraper to cut it. I mean, you can use a knife, whatever you want to do. The other thing you can do as well to make your cuts, if you want to make them precise, instead of eyeballing it, you can always fold your puff pastry, give it a little crease, and then unfold it, and you will see that line there as to exactly where to cut to get an exact half amount. And then we're going to take each one and just gently place it on top of the ramekins. And I just press it down just gently a little bit around the top to make sure I have a half decent seal. Pre-made puff pastry is so easy to work with. It's so fun. Wait till you see the results we get using this pastry. The last thing we're going to do before these go in the oven is we're going to create an egg wash on top. That's going to give them a nice shine and make them look really extra delicious. So taking another large BC egg and 1 tablespoon of milk and whisking that together. Now you're not going to use this whole egg wash, so what I want you to do is save the remainder to add it to your omelet the next morning or into another dish. Don't waste it, but you don't need the whole amount. Now we're just going to take a little pastry brush. You can brush it on the sides too. And just gently do that until they're all covered. Then we're going to take this, put it in our preheated oven at 425 degrees for about 15 minutes. Alrighty, here we go. Oh, they smell so good. And they look wonderful. Look at that. So the last thing we want to do, and this part is a bit finicky, is take a spoon and just gently create a little tiny indent without pressing too much in the center of each of the puff pastries so we can place our yolk. We don't want to press it too much, otherwise it's going to collapse inside and you won't see the yolk. We want to have that presentation. As I mentioned before, if you don't want to do this part, you would just take those egg yolks and put them in with the egg whites when we made the scrambled eggs. I'm just going to make sure I have enough room. You look at the egg yolk, you look at the spot you created, and just gently put the egg yolk on top. Okay, see that one burst a little bit? We'll try it on this one. And here. That one burst a little bit too. I think it's still going to be fantastic. You just have to be very gentle. And this one burst too. Anyway, it's going to work. It's going to be great. It's going to taste amazing. And we just put them in there for another 2 to 3 minutes tops. We want that egg yolk to set, but we still want to have it runny. All right, let's check these out. There they are. They still look amazing. They really do. I love having that egg yolk right in the center. So I'm just going to take one of these, place it on a plate, and you take your spoon and you dive in. You get that runny egg yolk. You spoon in, you get some pastry, you get the hot sausage gravy with the egg inside, and it's absolutely amazing. Be careful when you're serving it right away. It's very hot. but it is so delicious and worth the effort. Make sure you're checking out the website, bcegg.com, for a whole bunch of other great recipes, tips, and tricks. And this is Chef Des signing out. Where are you getting your protein from?